Former President Barack Obama has a warning for President Biden. According to the Washington Post, Obama had a private lunch with Biden in June, where, quote, Obama voiced concern about Donald Trump's political strengths, including an intensely loyal following, a Trump-friendly conservative media ecosystem, and a polarized country, underlining his worry that Trump could be a more formidable candidate than many Democrats realize, end quote. Vanity Fair summed it up with this headline: Barack Obama is also scared, blah, blah, that Donald Trump could win another term. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York said this.
President Obama really has a stake in Joe Biden staying there. You know, many people think that he's the guy behind the scenes. Let Joe go, let him get out of this thing without, by saving face.
But back when Biden announced his candidacy in April, Obama tweeted, support, let's get to work. The latest New York Times poll has Trump and Biden now in a dead heat. Mollie Hemingway is a Fox News contributor and editor-in-chief of The Federalist. Mark Penn is a former Clinton advisor and poll expert. Great to see you both. Mollie, I'll start with you. So Obama has gone from let's get to work to let's freak out. Why?
I think it is a reasonable thing for him to be concerned about. Even the 2020 election was remarkably close, with it coming down to about 40,000 votes across 3 states. And that was during a campaign where Biden had an excuse for why he couldn't be out running a campaign because of COVID. And you had the media suppressing all sorts of stories about the Biden family business, which are now coming to light. And you didn't have the actual, track record of what was happening in a Biden presidency, which a lot of Americans feel is not anywhere near where they want to be economically, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of crime, in terms of the southern border, all sorts of issues that now Biden would have to defend. So Obama's right to be concerned, I think.
So, Mark, do you think Obama's also right to be concerned from your perspective on the left side of the aisle? And if so, what would you do to turn things around?
Well, there's no question that this race right now is a toss-up at best. Some polls like mine show Trump a couple of points ahead, others a couple of points behind, the New York Times dead even. The biggest problem that President Biden has is his job rating is low, in the low 40s, and his rating on inflation is about 35%. So what does President Biden need to come back and have a lead instead of a toss-up? A better economy. That clearly is the number one issue. It is the number one deficit that Biden has. He's got to both, I think, move somewhat more to the center to get moderate voters. Look at that huge undecided in this race, even though both candidates are universally known. Says a lot of voters don't know, which one they would choose in this case. But the economy is the big issue that he really has to fix. And he's got a chance that a year from now, the economy will be better and inflation will be lower.
So you know what I always admire about you. You have such transparency around these issues. I mean, and you're a polling expert, so you get that these numbers, they've been around for so long that they're more than just stubborn. My question for you, just to put this back on you, Mark, is why can't other Democrats see that?
Oh, look, I think some are. Look, I think the party is rallying around Joe Biden. You see his numbers going up.
Well, that's because he won't sit down.
They're all in on Biden too. I don't think there's any question about that. But they're also realistic. I mean, that's why they went out with Biden economics. That's why they're defending everything that's going on with Devon Archer and others. That's why they're trying to push, I think, their agenda forward. I don't think they're just sitting around.
Yeah, they're not, but he is. Oh my goodness, in a beach chair. 364 days, including today, he has been out of the office and loves to go to the beach. I like the beach, too. Okay, mark your calendars. The first GOP debate is 20 days away, and former Vice President Mike Pence still has not yet made the cut. He says he's confident, though, he will be on that stage.
I think it'll be about the next week to 10 days that we'll have that support. We've been averaging about 1,000 contributions a day. It was stronger, frankly, over the weekend.
Former President Trump has qualified, but still has not committed to showing up. Governor DeSantis, his closest rival in the polls, joined the Faulkner Focus yesterday and sounded very confident.
I don't think anyone's running on our side that's had as much political success as me. We'll continue to be successful in this campaign.
Mollie.
Well, even if former Vice President Mike Pence is able to eke onto the debate stage, he really does have some trouble here. I think the Real Clear Politics polling average has him at 4th and falling. In Iowa, I think he's at 6th and falling. In New Hampshire, he's at 7th or 8th and falling. He's really not resonating with the Republican voter, which is interesting because he's the former vice president of a very popular administration. And, you know, he's got to be asking some questions about whether this is really in his or anyone's interest to run. And people who love him and are close to him should be talking to him about whether this makes sense for him to be running this.
Just real quickly, what are the problems for him that you see, Mollie?
Well, you saw it even after this incredible attempt to imprison the top Republican by Jack Smith and Joe Biden's Department of Justice. Vice President Biden actually came out and defended that action. That is not where the Republican voters are. They are very unified in their concern about the weaponization of our intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies, about the two standards of justice, about the complete, they're literally trying to imprison former President Donald Trump. And if you can't speak out against that, you're really not going to go far in the Republican primary.
You know, I'm looking at something, and I want to ask you about this, Mark. So the former vice president has hit the polling threshold for the first RNC debate right here on Fox. But he said he doesn't quite have the donor support. He says he's rocking about 1,000. So what does that mean that voters have on their minds? They just don't want to part with their cash.
Well, it means that he doesn't really have the kind of grassroots level support that he would really need. Look, if you get an opportunity to be vice president for 4 years and you don't have a real base in the Republican Party, his candidacy at this point is on obvious life support. It doesn't realistically have the kind of base that he should have been able to build up, but didn't. So look, I think when I look at the numbers here, this Ramaswamy move is really incredible, putting him in there with DeSantis and Scott as the candidates with a realistic constituency at this point.
All right. Unfortunately, I have to let you both go. I want to keep you, though. Thank you very much. Good to see you. The first Republican debate will be right here on Fox News, hosted by our own Bret Baier and Martha McCallum, live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So gorgeous in the summer there. Just a few weeks away, August 23rd.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.